Hello, this is John, and this is Lima Bean Tea, and I'm going to tell a story that's a good bedtime story for teenagers. So if you can't sleep, this would be a good story maybe to listen to when you're laying in bed trying to sleep, or whoever else wants to hear it is fine with me. And as you may know, all these stories that start with a 1, like this is story 103, are all just general stories, like bedtime stories. But then I have a whole nother range of stories that starts with 2, like 201, 202, and those are Bible stories. So this is just a story. And what I'm going to talk about is I'm going to do several stories on this subject. And what it is that when I was a boy growing up in Ohio, we had a special day on Labor Day, and they had a big celebration they called Holiday at Home. And it was an all-day event. It was so fun, and we did so much. It's too much for one story. So I'm going to talk about the first part of it. So it's Labor Day, and I'm about 10 years old, 11 years old, 9. And my mother decided that before the great big parade that started at 10 o'clock, real close to my house, that we would have a pancake breakfast for our friends and neighbors, and we'd have it on our front driveway in front of our house. We had a pretty modest house, nothing fancy. We were a little poor, but we had a good driveway anyhow. And so she decided to organize the neighbors and have a pancake breakfast. So my mom was a great cook, and she could really cook anything and make a lot of food fast, and she was just very, very talented in the cooking department and other departments. So she organized the neighbors where some would bring coffee and some would bring syrup and etc. So I would get up about early, like 5:30 in the morning or 6, because we had to put chairs out for the parade. Maybe 50,000 people or more came to this parade, maybe 100,000. It was a big parade, bigger than most of the other parades I've ever been to since I left home years ago. But but then we'd set up for this pancake breakfast, and the police and street crews were going around blocking off roads for the streets for the parade, so there wasn't much traffic. So the neighbors all knew to come to our house, and she would send me to the neighbor's house to pick up whatever they had, and then I'd bring it back to the house. So, for instance, one neighbor gave us a box of pancake mix like buckwheat, and then another neighbor gave us like buttermilk, and there was one neighbor who always sent a stick of butter, which was kind of funny because we had like I don't know, 60 people come to this thing, maybe more, and she gave a stick of butter. And because she said it was only her, but I remember she had invited all her relatives, and they ate a lot of pancakes. This woman could seriously eat pancakes. Here's how you know if someone really knows how to eat pancakes. Most people sort of cut the pancake with a knife in little bite-sized pieces, and they, stick their fork in it. And if it's maybe 3 pancakes high, then they get 3 little small 1-inch square pieces of pancake in their mouth. Very dainty. But if somebody just takes the fork, rams it in the pancake, and then like folds the pancake like very rapidly, like origami almost, but folds it into like a huge blob of pancake dripping with syrup and butter and sticks it in their mouth, that's somebody who is a serious pancake eater. And when I go to like IHOP or a pancake place, I always look around to see if there's someone who doesn't even cut the pancake, just sticks it, folds it, sticks it, folds it until they have the whole pancake on the end of, or maybe half a pancake, end of a fork, and just puts the whole thing in their mouth. And I consider those people serious pancake eaters. Well, this lady was one of those. And she's a nice old lady, but man, she could put the pancakes away. And her son, who was some sort of genius doctor or something, he came too, and he could fold those pancakes. Anyway, so we got a stick of butter from her. Another lady sent coffee, but she just sent the coffee. And man, like my mom had to make it. So anyway, I would come to my mom and say, "Here's a can of coffee," and she'd say, "Man, it's not even made." But we'd start making all this stuff. And my mom would make buttermilk pancakes, buckwheat pancakes. She would make chocolate pancakes, which were so, I can't even tell you how good these pancakes were. Chocolate pancakes, and then some other, whatever pancake mix she got. And my mom would make I don't know, hundreds of pancakes because there was, like I said, about like 60 people. So she would make, and we'd count them, and she'd say, "Okay, I've made 112 pancakes," and then she'd put some in the oven to stay warm. But since it was out on the driveway, we had this sort of smaller oven with a top, and they still make these, but it's like a little oven you can either cook things in or to keep them hot. It has like a tray. But anyway, it was really cool. And we'd set it up on a card table, plug it in, and there would be hundreds of pancakes in there. And then the syrup. Oh man, this one woman always would send blueberry or strawberry syrup. Then my mom would have some kind of cheapy maple syrup, and I just loved eating all the syrups. And of course, the chocolate pancakes. We're not talking plain pancakes with chocolate on top. This were like chocolate through and through, and they weren't super sweet. So when you did dump Hershey's chocolate syrup on them, which by the way was fantastic, and the whipped cream she had out, it was the best snarfing pancakes imaginable. But I could never fold them all up. I had to cut them. But anyway, we would sit out there and snarf down these pancakes, just, 60 people, just, and a few friends who came over, the neighbors, and occasionally someone would walk up and say, "Oh, pancake breakfast, fix me up." And we would have to tell them that it wasn't their breakfast. We had to nicely say this was for the neighbors. Some people kind of had the audacity to come up and say, "I think I'll just eat your pancakes." But we nicely told them that, my mom especially, sorry, this is just for the neighbors. I don't know why some stranger would walk up to a bunch of pancakes and start eating them. But anyway, man, this was so fun. So that's the story of the pancake breakfast. Doesn't really have a moral or anything real funny in it, but it was so cool.